Hi, this is Andy Collin and Chris Pomeroy from Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised. We've started our third podcast series, Movie Chat, with a bunch of students that grew up in Aspen and have moved into the entertainment industry. And today we catch up with Darby Laswell and her husband, Kevin Symons. Darby worked on such things as House Hunters, Billy the Exterminator, and Kevin has been in many TV shows and movies, such as Parks and Recreations, and a lot of fun things. So let's catch up with Darby and Kevin and see what their journey has been like. Thanks. Well, so what would you say are some of the biggest changes right now that technology has done, other than just that when you do interviews at home? I mean, how would you say your life has changed? You were talking about cassette tapes. And,
You
and
know, I- yeah, I'll tell you, for me, because anybody can shoot a film on their iPhone, it's lost some of its specialness a little bit for me.
yeah,
And I think, cameras have changed, they're lighter, you can move easier with them. Um,
drones are huge.
Drones, we use drones all the time, and they
Yeah,
really are great.
the
But again,
historic historic shot of Touch of Evil. You remember where the whole pan through and the whole thing? It's like 8 minutes of just pulling through all the city and all that stuff. That was a
And
huge ordeal of a shot. Now with the drone, it's like easy.
yep. Yep. I think about that all the time in the field when we get these really cool drone shots. And I think, my God, a long time ago, somebody worked really, really hard to figure out how to get this shot. And now
Yeah,
this thing up in the air. Now it's not just sending it, but
yeah, right,
I
right.
remember when Goodfellas came out and there was that famous shot that he did all the
Yep.
way to the restaurant and following him. And
Yeah,
now you have a show like Adolescence. I don't know if you saw it, was
yeah,
Adolescence.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Every episode was shot in one take.
yeah.
One
That
incredible.
was that was crazy. We were talking to someone else about that too, and they were saying how there was one scene where they handed it off, and that was it. And it was like, it's just nuts.
I think it added the effect to the intensity of the whole entire show.
Yeah.
If it
well,
had been
Oh,
lockdowns, it would have been a totally different experience, like felt like the kid and
boom.
you felt like all
There.
this.
Yeah. But I mean, and even just in terms of, I think the big challenge is going forward, and you guys would probably agree with me, would be AI, because we just don't know what's happening with that, and it's changing on a minute by minute basis.
Well, I
Uh,
have a feeling with AI, and my feeling with AI is that if it's 100% AI, it, that's not what AI is for. AI is not to copy things. AI is not to rip stuff off. You scan Tom Cruise for Mission Impossible, you have everything you need to go make another movie. But you know what? There's a licensing fee that needs to happen there. No different. And so AI in my mind is people just haven't figured out what the regulations are, like the internet. We had the FCC for radio and TV. Well, we don't have anything for the internet, and that's kind of been a nut job. And so AI is kind of like the thing that's saying, wait a minute, guys, we're going to need to sort of do something here. And what I've noticed is that when you take the tech and you add the human part to it, that changes it. If it's
mhm.
all the tech, it's almost too clean. It's almost too
Right.
it's weird in a way. You need that little touch, and that becomes those are the people, the creative people that are using AI are where it needs to go. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, in the '80s, in the '90s, early '90s, T-shirt designs, silk screen T-shirts really sucked because a lot of that was changing from the hand cut art folks to in the computer, you know, and and it took another 3 or 4 years for the art folks to go, wait a minute, I'm going to lose my job. I better learn how to use this computer. And so they started to use the computers, and the designs changed drastically. I feel like AI is the same deal. You
Well,
know,
I think Andy and I were talking about this earlier, and I could actually show you an example of the other way to use AI, which is instead of saying, "Hey, I want a picture of blah blah blah," it's for somebody like an artist to use that as an inspiration for what you then go on and draw. And let me see if I can share this real quick. This is AI, and I just said I just want a fat cat. So that's the AI. Here's my fat cat.
Gotcha.
So you could look at it in multiple ways. That it's whoever drew that first fat cat, whatever. I mean, that's a pretty cliche thing, but you can use AI to take it to the next level. And I think that's where it's going to need to end up, because right now it's putting a lot of people out of work.
Yeah. And it's a tool. I don't think it's the end all magic box thing. I feel like you still have to, it's going to need the tweaking. And I feel like that if it takes over, there's going to be no creativity in it. Do you know what I mean? AI doesn't do anything until you tell it what to do. Even if you're using ChatGPT to write something, you still have to say, da 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 da, I want this, and 3 people are talking and discussing, and it's a gangster movie with this and this and this, and blah blah blah. You kind of have to give it something, and that, if you don't do that, then there's going to be a problem. But you're going to need that interface.
I think my writer friends, are the most fearful of what's happening. I think animation also is going to be heavily.
Animation is big. I mean, it's big with actors too. I've seen stuff where they're like, here's the actor and here's them reading these lines that we just typed in. And I'm like, well, okay, that's cool and all, but how are you going to get the performance?
If I had to do a line or two of ADR for a TV show or a commercial or something, I would have to go into the studio and knock out those 2 lines. They would have to pay me my day rate, all that sort of thing. Now they can kind of get it in there without having to bring you in.
Right.
So that sort of thing, that's a little bit dicey. I know the union's been really trying to regulate it, and we're making small advancements, but it's just moving so fast.
It should just be licensed. I think it should be licensed. If they're using your voice, it doesn't matter who's using it. Anyone could use your voice, but you know what? They're just going to pay for it. And a little commercial in Iowa is going to pay different than a big commercial in LA area, but there's a rate, and that's like what ASCAP does for the musicians. I mean, this stuff exists. A system exists. It just needs to be implemented.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing I also think about with AI, which right now, the uncanny valley stuff it's still pretty easy to see when something's AI, 6 fingers or whatever it is, But in the end, I mean, the way I think about it is going for a hike in Aspen, and you get up on top of a mountain and you look down and it takes your breath away.
Yeah.
And then you go and you take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And you get that picture and you look at it on your phone, and it's like it doesn't even compare.
No.
There's something real about real that cannot be synthesized, at least not yet. Maybe in 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, and also
now,
performance. As an actor, you're playing off of people. With AI, you're not. AI is just like, here's this voice, here's this person, and then they talk and it kind of simulates something. But when you do reads, you come up with stuff, and every performance is slightly different. And that's why I feel like what really is going to happen, like in the animation world, is that instead of having animators animate stuff, you're going to have actors be the puppeteers, because they're the creators of the character, and I think that may happen where animators may lose their job, but actors will become the thing, because in other words, someone could watch your performance, but the truth is that every time you read a new script, you're going to bring you to it.
Exactly.
They're just going to look at what you just did, and that doesn't do that. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think you hit on something pretty important early on in the conversation when you said that, when you're in the room, it bounces off you. There's an energy there.
Yeah.
So when you feel someone's reaction to one of your, it could be a gesture, it could be the way you sigh or whatever it is, you're not going to get that from AI.
Yeah.
That's true. You're not. You're absolutely not. That's true.
And I think you'll get something cool, but it isn't gonna be real. You know what I mean? That one real element, like it'll be that sort of macabre, weird, where it sort of feels real, but it's not quite. You know, that riffing off of each other, that doesn't, AI is not going to really be able to do that.
There's a nuance that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's that. I think that's what you're saying. I totally, and that's what's wonderful too, right? About people.
Exactly. I mean, and that's part of the reason why I'm not worried as much. I mean, yeah, I know we're going to go through some weird stuff, but the industry people need to take charge of this thing, you know, and it is a creative tool. So creative people need to be the ones in charge of it.
Yep.
You know? I mean,
And
we're changing. We're changing from Photoshop to automated Photoshop, basically.
Yeah. Well, and as a digital artist, what I can tell you, one of the worst phrases you could ever hear, and this is back in the day, was, "Isn't it amazing what computers can do?" Like,
Yeah.
it is also amazing what a hammer can do, but until you give it to a carpenter, it's not going to do anything, you know? And the same is true now 10 times for AI. It's like, isn't it amazing what AI can do? Well, I mean, as long as the person telling it to do it knows what they're talking about and doing, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. But it has changed. I mean, you know, talking about videotapes, and I remember in my demo reel used to be on a videotape, and then it was changed over onto a DVD, and now DVDs are gone, and headshots, you don't need those anymore because it's all on, you know, so you save money in a way, for us, because it's all digitized now, it's all online, so it's.
Well, and it's always so instant too. It's like you send it and boom, it's there and whatever. Not even FedEx. You know what I mean?
Mail me my script. It'll be here, you know.
Right.
Feel bad for
10 seconds,
for the couriers. Guys have to actually deliver a script or deliver whatever, your contracts or whatever to you. Now it's right here.
That's interesting. You know, or dailies or whatever it would be, you know, it's like, it's right there.
Yep.
Just hit rewind.
I got to say, it was one of my coolest experiences working at the film lab was on My Own Private Idaho, Gus Van Sant's film.
Sure.
And since I worked at the film lab, we processed all the film. So we did all the dailies in the screening room. And I ran the projector, the arc projector, and the sound guy ran from the other room the sound, and we'd, okay, go, boom, and we'd hit. And so we'd show the dailies, and it was really cool to hear them talk, to see them go out and shoot, to see the stuff, to then see them go, oh, we need to reshoot this. Okay, that works. And then to go see what finally edited on the floor. And then not only that, but at the same time, I had my studio partner was connected to the guy who was doing the effects. So he had to reshoot a couple shots and was like, hey, would you want to help me do some stuff and learn? And I was like, wow, okay, I'm learning on the job. So I actually did the Talking Magazine scene and helped him. So it was kind of cool because then I was part of the film as well as watching the whole process of it. You know, it was interesting because I could see Gus trying to think about what he's doing, and then he's got, like you, Darby, the producers and other people telling him, and it's different. Different producers are connected differently. There's the people who are connected to the studio, and then there's the people who are connected that are his producers that are helping him stay on track and keep doing what he's doing.
And the money people too.
And they're all putting their 2 cents worth in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same on a television sitcom. You've got the big wigs that are whispering into the, you know, at Video Village, whispering into the director's ear and saying, okay, we're going to do another take. Same thing in commercials, because the client's going to have their opinions, the director's going to have, you know, that's just showbiz. And
Did you guys get to see Saturday Night, the movie?
Oh yeah, sure.
What did you think? Because I felt like that really showed exactly what you're talking about really well.
Oh yeah. Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was very accurate. Very, very accurate.
I mean, it showed the chaos. It showed the focus. It showed everything all at once. I mean,
the personality conflicts and everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people just watch these shows. They don't really get a flavor for what it takes to make the show, you know? And it is a lot.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Growing Up Aspen. Glad you enjoyed that last little blast, and I hope you stick around for a few more. We want to The authors of Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised would like to thank you and ask you to, if you're interested, you can check out our book at twistandturnpress.com, or any local bookstore can order our book. So we will talk to you soon and hear more from some of our friends. Thanks.